Welcome friends. Today in this video I want to talk about what is data governance, why we need data governance, what is data governance framework and how to implement the data governance framework into organizations. So first we understand what is data governance. So there are various definitions of the data governance available on the Google, and the different people define the data governance differently based on the target audience. So for some people it's like committee meeting and stewardship and control, and for others it's like technical data management. But holistically it combines both these aspects. So according to DM Bog, the data governance is the exercise of the authority and control and the shared decision making by planning, monitoring and enforcement over the data assets. So it's work like yin and yang. On the one side it used for the precision, and on the other hand it's used for the flexibility. So organization use the exercise of the authority and control as a stick, and on contrary the shared decision making is like carrot. So organization gets the maximum benefits from the data governance. So data governance is the end-to-end process and the framework to access data, to monitor data and to improve the data quality by the cross-functional collaboration between the business and the IT team. So as we understood what is data governance, then now we understand why data governance is so much important and challenging and why we need data governance. So there are four most reasons, or we can say benefit of the data governance. So number one, the data has grown significantly. And as we know, the data has increased so rapidly in the every form, and also over the period of time, the desire and the capability of the organizations to collect and process data has increased significantly for the various business objectives and to maximize the benefits from the data. So because the data is the strategic asset for the organization, and nowadays we all heard the new term is the data is the new oil. So next is the reduce the risk and increase the opportunity. So for many organizations, the data governance is just like defense to reduce the risk by improving the data quality and the accountability, and also helping to improving the compliance against the regulation and the protection requirements like GDPR. On the other hand, it's more like offense to increase the opportunity, because the data is the strategic asset to the organization. So it must be managed accordingly for the competitive advantages and to make the informed decisions. So next is the improved efficiency. So data governance allows team to spend the less time in the data retrieving, managing and the data cleansing, and give the more time to using the data for the strategic asset and the advantages. So data governance helps to reduce the redundancy and the duplication of efforts across the systems and the teams. So fourth important reason is the driving collaboration and the accountability, because the definition of the clear roles and responsibility and accountability will make the people more active and accountable for the data regulation and protection requirements, and also to maintain and improve the data quality and the integrity. So organizations enjoy the key benefits like the improved reliability, traceability and the authenticity, and also provide the common collaborative platform across all the stakeholders. So far we discussed what is data governance and why we need data governance into organization. Now I would walk you through on the data governance framework. To set up and implement the structured data governance framework, very first and important thing is to define the data strategy and the vision. So for that, we need to understand what is the business goals and objectives, and keeping in mind what is the as is data issues, challenges and the to be requirements. And based on that, the data strategy and the vision, the organization need to build the governance framework by assigning the right people to the organization and the defining the process and the workflow and the data management KPI and the measures, so on and so forth, and also select the right tools and technology to develop the data driven culture within the organization. So data governance framework is the alignment of the business strategy and the data strategy, and link the data strategy with the business goals and the technology solutions. So it's a framework for the top-down alignment of the business priority with the bottom-up management of the discrete data sources and the inventories. So as we see in this picture, at a strategic layer or the top level, it's alignment of the business strategy and the data strategy based on the business priority. And this will define your governance strategy and the vision down the line. And the level 2 is the core layer of the data governance and for stewardship and control. So this layer is putting more emphasis on how to define the data governance by managing the people, processes, workflow, policies, and set up the communication mechanism, put the governance around your data. And also very important thing is to develop the data-driven culture within the organizations. And the third layer is all about leveraging data for the strategic advantages by master data management, data warehousing, business intelligence tools and big data management, data architectures and data modeling, data quality management, and also the coordination and integration of disparate data sources, planning and monitoring of the data assets, and metadata management. So these all are key data governance enablers for the organizations to define the data strategy and to set up the data governance framework. And the bottom-up level is all about the information lifecycle management from the data acquisition to data disposal, and the management of the discrete data sources like structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, and the big data management. This level defines the requirement and the management of the tools and technology solutions based on the organization's business process and the impact of the data governance on the business objectives. So data governance framework is the structured approach for the proper alignment of all these different levels across the organization and to implement just enough governance around the data. To define and implement the data governance framework, we need to build the structured approach. I'm not going to read all these blogs, but just want to explain. To build and implement the structured data governance framework, individuals need to ask the various questions to all these key elements of the framework and try to get the answers to understand the edge situations against the to-be requirements. For example, to define the vision and the strategy, first we need to understand the what is enterprise data governance need. It is business goals, its objective, the data governance impacts, benefits, current policies, standards, so on and so forth. For the organization and the people, first we need to identify what are the key stakeholders within or outside the organization. What are the primary data reviewer, approver, and the consumers. Also define the CURD metrics, training requirement, and communication channel to highlight the data issues, so on and so forth. Same way for the processes and the workflow, individuals need to understand the as-is process and the workflow and the to-be process and the data flow within and outside the organization and put the governance around it. And also it's very important to measure the data KPI and also set up the report mechanism to publish that KPI. For culture and communication, it's very important to create the awareness of the importance and the value of the data for the business and the strategic advantages, and identify the champion from the business, set up the communication platform, promote internal success stories and the best practices across the organization. This will help in creating the data-driven culture within the organization. And the last but not the least, to define the tools and technology requirements, we need to check the as-is data architecture, the data models, primary and secondary data sources, and the primary data management systems, integration requirement, metadata and reporting requirements, so on and so forth. So to build the structured data governance framework and implement it at the enterprise level, the thorough analysis of all these questions and elements and sub-elements is very important to reach the conclusion. So good data governance helps the organizations to make the strategic advantage, to make the informed decisions and to achieve the business goals. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit like and share and subscribe to my channel on the YouTube. Thank you once again.